Hello, everyone. It's Melanie Goodhue here, owner of Pulse Wealth Management, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Jennifer Reynolds. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining
Hi,
us.
Melanie. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, for those of you who don't know, Jennifer Reynolds is a family lawyer and mediator. She has a firm here in Ottawa, a local office in Ottawa. However, she does service clients Ottawa wide. And so today we're going to be talking about some burning questions that I've received, potentially, unfortunately, but it's around getting separated. As much as we, don't want to talk about it, this seems to be something that, unfortunately does happen, and people have questions around it. They want to know how they can protect themselves, what things that they should be doing to prepare if they are planning to separate. And then also, what's that process look like? So Jennifer is going to be answering those questions for us. I'm also going to be throwing her information in the section below. So if you do have any questions for her, or want to take this conversation further, you can feel free to click on the link and message her directly. So, are you ready, Jennifer?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about getting separated. What are the steps that you should take if someone is thinking about getting separated?
So, as you're considering a separation, a few things are important. Firstly, is getting an idea of what your assets and your debts are, and your income and your expenses, what those things are now, and how they might change in the future, and what your rights and your obligations are with respect to them. So for those, you'll want to take a look at your investments, talk to your financial planner, pull out all your statements, have an idea of what's in your various accounts and what you owe, and then talk to a lawyer who specializes in family law to get an idea of what your rights and your obligations are, to have a sense of how your financial picture might change. And then you can start to make a budget. You can consider what potentially will occur for where you're going to live, what's going to happen with your kids, how you're going to manage your finances going forward.
Mhm.
Another important thing is if you don't have any solely held bank accounts, like a checking and savings account in your own name and a credit card in your own name, we suggest getting those things set up now. That lets you have your own accounts if you want to do things like talk to a lawyer and pay for them without your spouse knowing right away. It lets you establish some credit on your own if you don't have that already. We don't suggest making any major changes to your financial situation. So if you do have a joint account and most of your money is going in there, don't make any sudden major changes to things, both in terms of you don't want to be accused of hiding assets or hiding money. And if you haven't talked to your spouse yet, you don't want to twig them to maybe something is going on.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a common question, of the people who've reached out to me is, hey, you know what, I'm contemplating this and how can I protect myself? So I think you've touched on a couple of those things, which is really good. Just having your own bank account if you don't
Mhm.
have, an account outside of a joint account as well as a credit card. Is there anything else? People are generally scared when they're reaching out and asking about
Absolutely.
this. Yeah, is there anything else that you can think of that might protect them or look out for their well-being when
Mhm.
they're contemplating something like this?
Yeah, there's a few things that I would suggest from more of a personal side than a financial side. Number one is going through your various accounts and changing your passwords, making sure that your spouse doesn't have access to your email or your text messages as
Mm.
you start to reach out to professionals or talk to friends, making sure that all of those things are secure. Definitely reach out for emotional support and mental health support and your well-being. Even the strongest person with the healthiest mindset is going to face challenges going through something like this. A separation is incredibly stressful. So reaching out, perhaps your employer has an EAP program where you can access counseling, asking friends or family who they would suggest, and having people, your village around you, kind of on speed dial to talk to. And
Mhm.
then the last thing I would be remiss not to mention is that if there are any concerns about family violence, to make sure that you're engaging in safety planning, that you have somewhere safe to go, that you have a bag packed with your important documents and cash in case you need to leave quickly, making sure that people in your life know what's going on. If family violence is a concern, it can and often does increase at the point of the separation. And so you need to be prepared for that if that is something that is playing a role in your separation.
Really, really good advice. Thank you so much. Lastly, people always then want to know, what is the process, right? The kind of fear of the unknown. This is a big, scary new thing. And what does that process look like?
Yeah. Ultimately, the process boils down to, firstly, consulting and planning with professionals like lawyers and financial planners to pick the best process for you, whether that's going to be negotiating with your spouse directly or going to mediation, or if court is a necessity for your family. Gathering information is the next step. So making sure that everybody has the information about each other's assets and debts and income, parenting concerns, anything about the kids, gathering that information and exchanging it with your spouse. Then your lawyer will use that information to advise you as to what your rights and your obligations and your options are. You'll negotiate with your spouse, or perhaps your lawyer is going to negotiate with their lawyer, or you're going to engage in mediation or arbitration. There's lots of different options. Not all of them work for everyone. And it really comes down to, how much can your spouse and you agree on? Where are the sticky points, and how much help do you need, and how many people do you need in the room to help you have that conversation? Are you able to talk to each other knowing that your lawyer is, a phone call away if you need advice? Are you needing one neutral person in the room, a mediator, to help you talk to each other? Can you not even agree on what the process is going to be? And do you have to go to court where those things are provided? The structure and the timelines and the decision maker are all provided to you. Once you come to an agreement or a court makes an order, then that gets documented. So no matter what the different issues are, no matter how complicated your financial or your parenting situation is, you're looking at those same basic steps.
Okay, that's great. So what I've gathered is that there's kind of three main ways that you can go about it. And as you kind of move down the ladder, it gets, more involved from third parties. So first step would be, if you can work it out between the two of you, just have that lawyer on speed dial. That's the most amicable, probably easiest way if both parties are amicable and getting along and can come to an agreement. Next level is, okay, we might have some pushback here and maybe a bit of conflict. Maybe we need that neutral third party mediator in there. Or if that's not working, then, resorting to that, last step, which is getting the courts involved and things like that. So,
Right. Yeah. So there's
yeah.
those different options, and people kind of go between them. You might be able to negotiate to a point, right? Or you might choose to go to court for some reason and then go to negotiations or mediation and settle outside of court. You never are stuck with one process. We
That's
help
good
you
to
pick the
know.
process that's best for you at the time. And that process can change as things go. And different processes come with different timelines and different costs. And your lawyer can talk through all those options for you.
Well, thank you. You just covered a question I was going to ask you, which is, if someone's going, I have no idea, what process is going to be right for us, or given our current situation. So that's really helpful to know. That's all the questions I had for you. Thank you for answering some burning questions of some clients who reach out to me that really just kind of want to do the right thing in the right order and make sure that, their financial picture and future is still going to be okay, even though they're going through this big life change. So I appreciate you answering those burning questions for some of the people that are watching. As I mentioned, I am going to throw Jennifer's information in the comments below or in the description. So feel free. She has an open door policy. If you want to reach out, get some more information, even just to inquire if this is something you might be thinking about, feel free. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time. It was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.